What's up, my fellow Brown fans? This is Jacob from the Northeast Ohio, and I picked one heck of a season to start watching Browns football, didn't I? Well, anyways, I'm sure you guys have heard about Deion Sanders talking about the Dallas Cowboys head coach, if I'm remembering correctly. So if that's the case, what would you guys think of Deion Sanders trading away Dak Prescott to the Browns, we giving them our first round pick so they can pick his son, and then we have Dak Prescott? I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know. I just want to see what your guys' thoughts on it and maybe what we could get in return other than their first round pick and Dak. Thank you.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the biggest thing that I have for this is, and it all comes down to like salary cap. I'm not a money guy, but I just don't know how we're going to, he just signed that contract. You know what I mean?
I got a little bit of notes from Jack Duffin did an article on this.
Yeah.
Cool,
of course,
bro.
Jack Duffin did, right?
Let me hear this real quick.
He's got all the financial stuff.
Okay, cool.
So,
let me hear this real quick.
First of all, he noted Dak Prescott does have a no trade clause.
Interesting.
So is he coming to Cleveland? Probably not. Jack Duffin says financially, the Cleveland Browns can make this work because they will turn each contract year into an option bonus and push the salary cap hits far out into the future. Dak will likely need to agree to this change because it's not likely the Cowboys have the contract language that the Browns use as their standard. The dead cap for the Cowboys would be $103 million in 2025, which is only slightly higher than his current cap hit for 2025, which is almost $90 million. So not a huge offset there, I guess. Personally, Jack says, I think this is highly unlikely. The aim is probably to get Travis Hunter if Deion goes to Dallas, but you can never rule things like this out. It would potentially be one where you aren't getting a crazy return on the picks to move up from 2nd to 12th in the draft, as the Cowboys are taking on so much dead cap having front-loaded Dak's extension.
Right. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
So whenever I first heard Deion potentially going to the Cowboys, which some people are saying he's not going, and I'm hearing a lot of people saying like it would be hard for him to turn down if they offer it to him. So who knows what's going to happen there. My immediate thought was, we trade grape them. I think that's what they have to say on the social media. Yeah. You know, for all you fantasy football people, we all know this term, or fans of the league.
Fleece.
Fleecing. I think we could fleece them.
Correct.
Because if that would be to get Shedeur. If Deion's going to Dallas, right, he wants Shedeur. And I thought, okay, we get Dak. Then I remembered I've pretty much shit on Dak my entire life on this podcast. Yeah. I think Kirk Cousins is better than Dak Prescott, at least when they're both healthy. And then the money, obviously, and then Dak Prescott he keeps getting severely injured and missing lots of games.
And not looking good.
Yes, and not looking good.
Coming off a bad season.
So I moved off the Dak Prescott idea pretty much almost as soon as I was on it. What about Michael Parsons?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, have they paid him yet?
No, he's getting ready. He's pretty much, they're talking about.
Yeah, so, we saw how they handled their other star, CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
And CeeDee is another person. Right. Like, hey, okay, you want Shedeur? Then you give us 12. You give us your first rounder next year, and then you give us CD or you give us Micah. And we could name our price. Jerry Jones is going to have eyes this big thinking about Deion and Shedeur and all those tickets they're going to sell and how big of a draw it'll be in Jerry World. You're going to be able to get whatever you want.
We got Amari Cooper for a 5th.
Yes. And I've said that I didn't want to trade out of the top 10 if we moved back, but if we can trade out of the top 10 and get a Micah Parsons or a CeeDee Lamb, then yes, you still do it.
Picks.
And then maybe imagine if you get Parsons or CeeDee Lamb, and then if you're at 12, you snag a Genty. You know, I've kind of moved off the Genty thing because I've fallen in love with Travion Henderson. But you'd still have plenty of options, and you'd be addressing a huge need by getting one of those two players. Will Dallas trade one of them? I don't know, but they've showed a very big unwillingness to negotiate very much with them, and they just let a coach walk off of I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I know.
I've never seen it before. I've never seen a coach out his contract, and then they just couldn't
figure it out.
Thanks for your time here, but we're not going to bring you back, but you're not fired. It's just kind of like,
free agent.
Yep, free agent coach. I've never seen that before in the 35, almost 36 years I've been watching football now.
Yeah, and I heard a quote. I think it was from Jerry. Maybe not. But either way, the quote was something about it wasn't money. Money wasn't the issue. So
I heard a rumor that Jerry wants Jason Witten to be the heir apparent to Mike McCarthy, and Mike McCarthy was like, no. I wouldn't put it past Jerry.
I wouldn't either.
You know what I mean? And that was just a rumor I saw floating around on the interwebs somewhere. I don't know if there's any truth to that.
People crap on Jimmy Haslam like crazy, and rightfully so for some things.
Yeah.
You imagine being a Cowboys fan, Jerry Jones.
I mean,
the dude thinks he's the GM. He really, I mean,
he is the GM, bro. Yeah.
I know he's the GM, but he actually thinks he's a GM. Like he thinks he's good at it.
Yeah. And they haven't won anything since the 90s.
No.
Fair. Would you trade 12 wins? Would you trade 12 wins and a little bit of Jerry for, what we're dealing with? I mean, if you know the context that you're not ever going to make it out of the first round of the playoffs, then, probably not. But,
But no, I think I would not touch Dak in that trade, but I would make them pay a king's ransom. And part of that king's ransom would be one of those two guys.
Sure.
I would be getting. Could you imagine? I know a lot of people have been high. I've been kind of like that. I don't want to draft Abdul Carter at two. But could you imagine Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett together?
What do you do? Have fun.
There'd be 87 no holding calls.
Yeah.
Because if Micah Parsons is up there with Myles in terms of just gets tackled every game and never gets a holding call.
Yeah. And Mike could be similar to what I like about. And I'm not saying I want Abdul Carter at two, but what I like about him is he provides a very complementary offsetting skill set to Myles. Like he can do some of the things in coverage and, he can rotate at the linebacker spot, inside, outside a little bit more. And Myles is strictly an edge rusher. So I kind of like, and the same thing with Micah, having you don't really know what you're going to get from either side.
Where they're coming from. Yeah. Where they lining up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So do you guys think Deion's going to go there?
The fact that they talked, I don't know who reached out to who. I got to think that Jerry reached out to him and said, hey,
So as far as I've seen, it's been Deion in talks, and they've interviewed like Kellen Moore, who used to be their OC. So maybe he comes back to be the head coach. But you're right. I do think that Jerry's probably just salivating at that idea.
Can we pump the brakes too, though, on Kellen? What is Kellen Moore doing that he just keeps getting looked at as like this incredible offensive whiz?
Statue of Liberty, man. No, that was,
I'm not saying he's a bum, but didn't the Cowboys offense was better when he left. Am I crazy to think that? Maybe not this year when Dak was out, but the first year McCarthy took play calling back and Dak was healthy. He had a ton of yards, scored a ton of points.
And there was issues in Philly this year, I don't know whether that was head coaching and quarterback stuff or what exactly was going on there, but if you're Jerry Jones and you have those two and you're looking at it.
I guess here's another thing is I'm not one of these people who craps on Deion at Colorado, but do you think he'd translate to an NFL coach?
We haven't seen a ton of college coaches translate and have a lot of success.
Even the best.
Yeah, even the best.
Nick Saban went to Miami and
Urban Meyer was a
in
joke.
my head, Pete Carroll's the best one by far.
Yeah. Sure, that's fair.
And it took him 2 tries.
Yeah.
If I'm not, he was in, I think, New England the first time.
Jim Harbaugh's kind of bounced back and forth. So
I think he is a second success. He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just don't, I think a big part of Deion's thing in college is motivating. He knows how to motivate kids, especially today's youth, and they're enamored by the fact that it's prime, and maybe adults would be too, because it's prime. Mm-hmm. But I just feel a big part of that is it's all about coaching your life too and turning you into young men. And I just don't know how that translates to a professional NFL locker room when they already are grown men, right, and have families and that kind of
and achieved the success of being in the NFL.
So I just don't know, but I'm not going to underestimate him because he's been successful literally everything he's ever done, but I just don't know how it would work.
Ticket wise, money wise, coming back into Dallas, it's prime. It's a home run. You know what I mean? Yes. But, and that's, Jerry's going to say, hey, it's about the team, but it's about the money.
For them, I think it's a smart thing to at least explore. Because like you said, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but either way, you're driving in some revenue. I mean,
sure.
you're definitely increasing the excitability around the
It
team.
upticks.
At least in the beginning. Now they go out there and they start off 0-7 because the head coaching's a joke like Urban Meyer was and Jacksonville. Okay, now all that runs out.
Yeah.
But the hype going into the season would be pretty high.
Yep.
Another side note before we move on, there's so much good stuff to get to. It's things like this. I'm very happy the Browns did not fire Kevin Stefanski. There's Ben Johnson, and Vrabel was going to New England.
Yeah, that was set.
That was set. So you had no chance of getting Vrabel. He was not going to stay here over New England. Ben Johnson's not coming here.
No.
Okay. I hear he's going to Vegas, and maybe the Bears are still in play. Who are the other candidates out there? And now Mike McCarthy's gone from Dallas, and they have to go all in on either Deion, who's an unproven guy from the college ranks. He's only been in big-time college football for 2 years now, if you consider Colorado big-time college football, and Kellen Moore. You know what I mean? Like, the Browns would be scraping the bottom of the barrel for one of these candidates for a head coach.
I know people don't really like this name, but like if I'm Dallas, I'm like calling Robert Saleh. You know what I mean? Like I know like he had moments where like people questioned like maturity and leadership. I thought he was a dog. Like
The Jets,
but it's a Jets organization thing.
I don't
for
think
me.
he's a great. I don't know if he was a great head coach or not. I don't like how he handled like the Zach Wilson thing when Zach got hurt and he just pretty much checked out, like quit trying. We saw our coach lose the starter and go to the playoffs with 4 other starting quarterbacks. But the Jets got significantly worse, especially on the defensive side of the ball once they fired.
Yeah, for sure.
So
No, it would be unknown coordinator guy because I'm seeing posts from other teams like the Jets, for instance. I mean, they're posting, hey, we just concluded an interview with so-and-so for head coach. I'm like, who?
Like the guys that I saw, like former head coaches, I saw Rex Ryan. I just laughed. I was like,
Rex Ryan was trying to.
You know, a name that I saw that I always like this guy, and I don't know. I think he's a good coach, but I saw Riverboat Ron, and I was like, oh man. But yikes, you know what I mean?
Pete Carroll's name's out there, I guess.
Pete Carroll. I mean,
and honestly, we're going to talk about him here in a little bit, but Tommy Reese's name has been floated around. I feel like as an up and comer, a younger up and comer in the league, and we can talk about that here in a little bit. But I do think that's part of the reason why the Browns
he was going to be an OC.
We're going to promote him that way we could keep him on the staff.
Yep.
So yeah, I want to take that. Some people are like, oh, we should have fired Kevin. I'm like, for what?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
What?
The guy that you're bringing in is
you're going to
a lot
fire
more uncertainty.
Yes, like come on. You got to have somebody. If you're going to fire the guy, you better be pretty sure there's somebody better than him out there. And I'm seeing guys getting interviewed, and I don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
So